I think the most effective incentives to improve EV adoption or accelerate it in California has really been the purchase incentives to lower the upfront cost barrier that a lot of customers feel when buying this new type of technology. So this is like the Clean Vehicle Rebate Project or other state, federal incentives, as well as incentives given out by the utilities in California. In order to stimulate adoption in other states and in other countries, I really think, one, we need sexy cars. And we're going to see those vehicles really start coming out in the very near future with announcements from all of the major manufacturers. But it's also making sure that we've got upfront purchase incentives in all of these states. It's been really effective in California, and I think that it can be exported to other states within the United States. So the solution to range anxiety is not going to be singular. I think it's going to be different for all different types of drivers. For example, I don't really care about the charging network outside of my home. I love waking up every morning and having a full tank, essentially. And the miles that I drive on a weekly basis, I don't ever need to use external charging. That's going to be totally different for other people. And so a gas station model where you have ultra fast charging where you fill up in 5 minutes, or workplace charging or opportunistic charging, all of it is going to be necessary in order to service all the different types of customers that are going to be buying vehicles and the different vehicle types, whether you've got a plug-in hybrid or battery electric with 100-mile range or battery electric with 300 miles of range. The charging patterns and the market needs to satisfy that range anxiety or overcome that range anxiety rather is going to be different. As electric vehicles grow in number, the impact on the grid is going to continue to increase. As long as utilities have foresight to plan for that electric growth, they'll be able to handle it. They've been able to grow with the increasing use of all kinds of electrical appliances, including the transition into mass adoption of air conditioning. And so I don't think that there's going to be an issue with utilities meeting the need of electric vehicles. However, utilities will be key in giving drivers signals of when to charge through either price signals or grid management signals like demand response and things of that nature. And so meeting the electric need, easy, but really dictating when it happens and making sure that there's infrastructure, charging stations there so that customers can take advantage of those changes will be important for utilities to focus on in the future. So other than the charging stations, utilities are going to have to invest in their core business, a robust electrical infrastructure from the transformer on up in the system. They're also going to need to play a very key role in the communication protocols and the standards in order to help manage these electric vehicles. I think going forward, you're going to see utilities become much more active and less responsive in this market. So I think the relation between solar, stationary energy storage, and electric vehicles is going to be very important in the future, and it's going to grow in the future. You'll see this especially in very high-powered charging, where that's really expensive to serve on the grid. So if you can take that energy, soak it up all day in a battery, and then quickly discharge into a vehicle, that's a much greater solution than pulling that demand from the grid itself. Not only in the high-powered charging for the light-duty market, but I really think solar and storage is going to make sense in the goods movement. So thinking freight vehicles, the heavy-duty trucks, and more commercial vehicles like that, I think that's probably where you'll see it make more economic sense than in the light-duty vehicle market. I would love for wireless or inductive charging to be the standard in the future. I think that there are some cost barriers that are going to happen, but the idea of pulling into a parking spot or driving along the road and not having to think about refueling my car with energy, not having to plug in, not having to swipe a card, that would be absolutely ideal. But there are just a lot of barriers with regards to cost at this point, but we'll see. I think if we can dream it, we can make it happen. So I think we can take a lot of lessons from how we've seen the passenger electric vehicle market grow and apply it to the self-driving vehicle market. We're going to have a lot of changes in the next decade with regards to ride sharing and self-driving vehicles. And it's really yet to be seen on how those vehicles are going to charge. We do know that they are going to need to charge. And so it's something that we'll have to keep up on. Is this a distributed charging paradigm like we see in regular passenger cars? Is it a home-based charging where you have these mega parking structures that have massive megawatt loads and vehicles drive there themselves, charge themselves, and then return to the customers? We just don't know. But I do think that we'll see some significant changes over the next decade with regards to servicing this technology.